If you're not fully across it, Aaron Woods on the Triple M station came and had a bit of a crack at Billy Slater.
And then Stefanovic had a crack at him.
Then Stefanovic. I think that was all in a bit of jest.
Right.
But Billy has been holding his tongue. Well, he hasn't held it anymore because he is like He-Man. He's a lasher.
Oh.
Tongue lasher. We haven't got the audio yet, but I imagine it's coming. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of insight into Fletchy's feud. So
you got a transcript.
I've got a transcript. When you degrade, this is Billy Slater, when you degrade someone personally in a derogatory manner, you probably don't deserve one of those privileged positions that you're all in, that we're all in. When you hold a position in the media or in our game, I feel that's a privilege. And with that comes a responsibility. I sit in that position most weeks, and you amplify your voice to millions of people. You're not talking to your mates in the pub. Then Slater appeared to become emotional as he paused to continue his blast of Woods and amid rousing applause from the Queensland fans.
Right.
Look, this Woodsy's started something here. Now, I know Aaron Woods. Is that a Bruce? I don't think that's a Bruce. Billy's got a bigger profile.
Yeah,
if you've got a bigger profile, it's got to be the opposite.
Can you only Bruce up?
You can only Bruce up. Okay. Like Yaz said.
Okay.
Now, I know Aaron Woods. I actually ran into him about 3 or 4 weeks ago at a footy game, and he didn't voice his opinion then.
Oh.
In fact, he brought his son over to introduce him to me, and I get the attention in our game. I believe the character of a person is judged more on what they say about people and how they treat people than what an individual says to create attention. I get that. Our game creates attention, but there's a responsibility with that attention. There's your answer. And he finishes with, we're all Queenslanders.
Oh, is that right?
Okay.
Okay. Well, that
what
is
happens
origin.
here? Now,
maybe this is what the game needs. It's going to fire it up. This is good.
Now, Billy has got emotional here. He's going to have them firing.
Yep.
Okay, if we lose this series, you cannot blame me anymore for that rank hand grenade.
No.
It's Woodsy.
Okay.
Woodsy, you're getting
Woodsy.
hammered if we lose.
Let's get to our man, Matty Johns, thanks to New Tech. G'day, Matty.
Hey, boys, how you doing? What's happened?
Matthew, news is... Well, I think we've got the audio. The tourist here, who, by the way, thinks their curry in England is better than us, but I'll get to that. So what happens is, what happened was Peter Bedell asked him a question, and the first voice you'll hear will be from Little Pop-Up Pete.
What about Billy? You've been called a grub by Aaron Woods. Were you surprised by that, and how did you receive it?
Do you really want me to answer that?
Yes.
All right. When you hold a position in the media or in our game, I feel that's a privilege. And with that privilege comes a responsibility. I sit in that position most weeks. And you amplify your voice to millions of people. You're not talking to your mates in the pub. Now, I know Aaron Woods. I actually ran into him about 3 or 4 weeks ago at a footy game. And he didn't voice that opinion then. He actually brought his son over to introduce him to me. And I get the attention in our game. I get that. All right, our game creates attention. But there's a responsibility with that attention. All right? And when you... How will I put this? When you degrade someone personally in a derogatory manner, you probably don't deserve one of those privileged positions that you're all in, that we're all in. I'm not done yet. You don't know what people are going through. And although I might be able to handle it, the next person mightn't be. Maybe our last coach didn't. I believe the character of a person is judged more on what they say about people and how they treat people than what an individual says to create attention about someone. There's your answer.
Thoughts, Matthew?
Boy. Has anyone checked on Woodsy?
Oh, no.
He'd be in the fetal. Look, it's the thing about it, whether it's in banter, theatre, whatever it is, if you do say something about someone, it is personal, then you hand them immediately a right of reply, and Billy's used that right of reply, and mate, he's certainly taken the long handle to it. I did laugh when Pete asked him the question. He said, "Mate, do you really want me to answer that?" Yeah. He had a very well thought out answer.
Yes.
If it was a surprise, so there's no doubt. But I mean, look, I have no doubt that Woodsy's building up the theatre. He's on Triple M, and breakfast radio is all about, oh mate, get it, say this, make an impact, get us some attention, and I have no problem with it. Although the word when he said first of all Billy's a grub, I sort of thought, it's have a bit of fun, and then he started pointing out the John Scandalis stuff and all that. I thought, well, this is sort of starting to get into the personal area. And so I'm just always mindful they get there sometimes and people will try to G you up and say, come on, mate, just have a shot across the bow to the Queenslanders, whatever. And you go, yeah, mate, that's okay. But I might take a shot across the bow at someone and you'll run the other way and I'm left with it. And so I think Woodsy's probably learnt that here. I think Woodsy, I reckon in his heart of hearts, Woodsy just meant it purely as banter. But it hasn't been taken that way. And when you say something like that to somebody, then you run the risk of that. But, man, it's certainly lit the fuse, boys.
Hasn't it what? And you could tell he was getting – it's in the article that he got a little bit emotional. We just edited that a bit to make it fit for radio. So if he's getting emotional, that will pass on to their players. The players will be up for this, no doubt.
I reckon this State of Origin, we'll look back in time and go – oh boy, can you believe Game 1 was so tame compared to Game 2? Yeah. I think that's...
Agreed.
This Queensland are going to come out of the sheds in a frenzy. And we've spoken about this before, boys. The biggest factor is New South Wales matching that intensity. And oftentimes in the past, even with those great Queensland sides, we've been ambushed, not by the fact that they caught us by surprise with their aggression, but it was just the level of aggression and the level of intensity. They got the ability to just take it to that next level. New South Wales are going to have to play really, really smart in this game. Early in the contest, I'm not saying, early in the contest, they can't give Queensland what Queensland want. And that's middle third, physicality, just taking the ball up, one out. New South Wales... They've got to be smart. The first 20 minutes of the game, I'll be pushing the ball to edges, trying to get one-on-one tackles, taking the wind out of their sails.
I'll tell you what, mate, maybe that speech is just showing what's happening there in camp. Billy's obviously on tenterhooks. He's fired up. And then Cameron Munster, he's captain. It's a danger trappy game, isn't it?
Well, Joel, you're spot on there. What Billy's done, Billy has taken that into camp, Woodsy's comments, and he's gone, right up, I'm going to make this personal. I'm going to make it that Woodsy has come at me with these things, and I'm going to get the players really fired up about this. And then he's taken it to that press conference. Now, if he'd have got that press conference and Pete Bedell asked him that question, and he went, I'm not going to answer that. That's just Woodsy. Then that just undermines everything that he has done in camp with those players. Yep. So he has just fed the players more of that stuff. This will be a great State of Origin game.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
A lot of people expecting, which I'm not, I think he'll go as per named. Yep. Everyone thinks that Billy's mucking around with his team and no way in the world Nanai will start on the bench, no way in the world Carrigan will. But I kind of feel like Mo Fodawaker, he says to him, Mo, get out there and just redline yourself and you might not be needed for the rest of the game.
Yeah. No, they're just going to kick, chase and tackle, really, for the first 20 minutes. I don't think, unless it's on, if there's something obviously on, but I don't think they're going to be playing flashy footy. They're just going to be getting out of their own end, kicking long and just hopefully to bash them. Yep. That's the way you're thinking.
I think it's really smart from Billy because early in the contest they'll come out blazing and that will sustain them for a certain period of time and then he'll bring on the second wave. And the second waves will just pick up and continue to go, and that's why I think I'm not saying that the starting lineup is vulnerable or anything like that, but if New South Wales, if that second wave is going to be possibly stronger than the starting lineup, well, New South Wales got to start fast, and like I said before, they will. There's certain things that they do that there is no doubt how they'll go about their work. One is they will identify that our back three won it for us last time. Lomax in particular, but To'o and Edwards getting forward, and that made way for Payne Hassel playing 4 and 5. Right, we get attacking kicks and we're out of there. The back three won it for us. They'll race down on their kick chasers and they will tighten their line. They'll dare New South Wales, come on, push it to the edge. Every time they tighten, we've got to move it to the edge. I'm not talking about high risk passing, just 1, 2, 3 passes to Latrell or Critter and just let them take the easy meters and just go forward after that. But if we go out at the start of the game and give Queensland exactly what they want and just want to run one out, then boys, it could be, it could just give them some ascendancy.
No, it's going to be. I reckon it's going to be one of the great games. Now, Matthew, remember midway through last year, and on the Matty Johns show, we weren't going great,
no.
And you got us into a room and you said to us we had to have those 4-minute meetings where you just rip shreds off us.
Yep.
Well, guess what? Manly are doing 7 minutes.
7.
Now we've done. I know we did the 4 minutes, and you were pretty scathing in your attack.
Yeah.
Do you feel that 7 minutes is a bit too long in your experience when you give it to players?
I was asked this question the other day. I said 6 minutes is the max. I've always been a 6-minute man. It's like the 7-minute abs or 8-minute abs.
Yeah.
You know, if you knock it down to 6, great. But any less than that, it's just silly.
Well, that's
it's just wasted time.
That's why we call you. That's why we call you Steve Austin. Because that's what you're worth. I know that's what you get. But are they panicking? Like, let's look at it. Is this a crisis meeting for Manly?
Oh. Well, I certainly think Siebes and the coaching staff would be getting twitchy. That's for sure. So Tommy Sanders, Lehigh at fullback. I think that's a positive move. I think that is. I think at the moment with Tommy, with that hamstring, he gets into a little bit of open space, and you can just see he's uncomfortable. He's lacked a bit of confidence to squeeze. So I think playing in the centres and probably reducing explosiveness and probably just working a little bit harder, I think will suit him. Lehigh's just, mate, he's been on fire. But I think there is a little bit of panic, and Fletch, rightfully so. I think they should be. Their season is just evaporating very, very quickly.
If they can make the semis now from where they are in this position, the way they've been playing the last 6 weeks, is that enough for Siebes? Because they're talking, there's sources saying, he's safe for now. So it's not giving me a glowing endorsement. If they make the 8, is he sweet for another year, do you reckon?
Yeah, I think if he plays finals, I think he'll be fine for another year. If he doesn't, well, I think what we're alluding to there is he's in trouble, and yeah, I think so. And who knows? There's a lot of talk going around. We might need another colleague at Fox Sports.
Yeah.
Joel, I'm telling you, get the suit ready, brother.
Oh, yeah, shook my
We're on skeleton staff already.
Yeah, right.
Is it a risk, do you think? I know, like, Mick is, he's very smart when you talk to him about football, but it's all the rest of it around. Like, we know we've had coaches who are very, very cluey, game plan-wise and stuff, but they can't sort of handle the other stuff that comes with it.
Yeah, well, Fletch, I was chatting to someone about this the other day, and we're chatting about the Webby's book, Andrew Webster, that he wrote on Wayne, The Wolf You Feed. When you read that book, I think young coaches should read that book because it's a perfect example of when Wayne won the competition with the Broncos in 1992. Boys, that was the tip of just this huge iceberg of experience and coaching that Wayne had in the Brisbane Rugby League. Like, he coached from, right through the late 70s. Up there, mate, he'd won competitions. He'd been smashed in grand finals. He'd finished last. He'd been sacked from jobs. All that experience put him in good stead when he took over the Broncos. Even when he took over the Broncos, early years were a little difficult with champion sides. So we've seen it before. We've seen it before with blokes like Trent Barrett, when to all and sundry it appears that they're the right man for the job, but they aren't. And you just can't, unless you have been a head coach, then there are no guarantees, and it's a risk. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to what they do. Although I will say this: sometimes taking that risk is worth it. Like, it does my head in sometimes when, we've seen coaches around the place in the last decade that have had 3 or 4 jobs. They get sacked from one, and the next minute they're getting a start somewhere down the road. So I don't mind teams that take a little bit of a risk. I tell you the bloke, right, and this is certainly left of centre. He's coming back from Europe, is Michael Cheika. Michael Cheika, I've spoken to Cheika about rugby, but Cheika has a sound knowledge on the tactical side of rugby league, right? But what we see with head coaching these days, boys, as you know, it's almost like you oversee. Yes, you have to have a real strong tactical sense, but you've got assistants that pick up the slack in other areas. And I'll give you the best example is Craig Bellamy. Craig Bellamy says openly, mate, I'm not interested in attack. Attack is not my go. I'm all about discipline and defence. I bring in assistants who can look after the attack, right? Cheika's got a couple of things going for him. Number one, he's a real players man. He has great relationships with players. Number two, he's a great communicator, so he can sell his message. And number three, he can handle pressure. That is one of the things that divides coaches. Like in the last 10 years, boys, how many times a coach has been appointed and you say, yep, right man for the job. Yep. Very clever, very smart. Problem is, though, just can't handle pressure.
Mm. Yeah, I agree.
It's a certain personality, isn't it? And that's where it's sometimes the media personalities are not the person. You know, like Serraldo's quite introverted at times, and Andrew Webster.
Christian Wolf.
Yeah. Speaking of Christian Wolf, what about this play, Matty's given the 21-year-old the C in brackets, Katoa? Oh. How good?
Oh, man. I've just actually, for the article this week, I've just written about Katoa, and you got to be a little bit careful sometimes. It's easy to get caught up in hyperbole, but in my opinion, boys, like I've never seen a young player with the tactical nous and just the ability to bamboozle defenders and the best defence line like this young bloke. And mate, you can throw them all in. Joey, JT. Throw them all in. I've never seen, and probably the closest would be Nathan, because when Nathan first came into grade, he lacked a bit of flair, but he was very good at controlling a game. But this young bloke, mate, I'm telling you, he's another level again.
You know what, Fletch? He's almost the best I've ever seen as far as tempo.
Yeah.
So he plays at the line at different speeds, all real slow, then he puts it on. And you know who started doing that? They say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Cody Nicarima started doing the same thing. And now he's playing out of his skin.
Well, mate, he's one of the great things. He disorientates the defence so good because he just varies how he approaches the line. Every time it's different. He has the tell a lie, look in, play out, or vice versa. He's got the stutter step where accelerates, slows, and accelerates, and the defence line can't get a defender can't quite get their timing and their bearings. He's got the new one where he approaches, pauses, and then withdraws and brings the player at the line. Like the one with Jordan McLean. He spotted McLean. He knew McLean was going to come at him fast, and he just took a step towards him and then actually started going backwards. McLean almost fell over him, and it created the space for the short pass. And then the other one he does occasionally, and Nathan Cleary's a genius at this, I call it the I'm lost, which is he gets the ball and he'll run, and he creates... Nathan does the best. He creates the illusion as if, mate, there's been a miscommunication. I'm lost here. And what the defence does, defenders sometimes will get lulled into the trap, and they'll either relax or one player will come out the line at them, and mate, it's a trap. They're not lost at all. They know exactly what they're doing. I'm seeing Katoa start to do that now.
It's a rap for Gus and Penrith, because I remember when Gus was at Penrith, he said, look. And he's obviously thought about this. He said, "Look, we don't have enough good halves coming through," and so they set up. They had a halves academy. Yep. I don't know whether many teams are doing this halves academy now, but the two blokes that you've just mentioned came out of that system. It's Katoa and Nathan. Do you feel, Matty, that it's going along the way of NFL, i.e. the quarterback? It's all about him. You get a gun. You get a gun 9, you get a gun 7, and then you just build players around. Do you feel it's going that way?
Fletch. Fletch, when we were at the Knights, myself and Andrew, we once had a beer with our major sponsor. This used to be Impulse Airlines. A fella called Jerry McGowan. And Jerry was a fantastic guy. Mate, loved the Knights, loved his rugby league, and was doing really well with the airline. And we were having a chat one day, and we're talking about different things. He said, we're having a yarn about where the club can get better. And I said, look, mate, someone should buy big slab of land just outside of Newcastle, and we start a halves academy. It's just all about the halves. Anyway, he was keen to us. He was so keen. He went and checked out some land and everything, and suddenly Impulse Airlines got bought out. And so he was no longer our sponsor. But Jerry was looking at it a long, long time ago. Boys, I absolutely think it's the way ahead. Because halves, playmakers just think a little differently. And at the moment, we've had, actually, there's a few coming on now, starting to come through the grades, but for a long while there, they'll have to turn 6 into 7s and things like that.
Robotic, very robotic.
And Fletch, Joel, mate, seriously, they talk about, are there enough good players in the competition? I'll counter this. I'll say there's not enough good coaches.
Yeah, 100%.
But secondly, there's not enough good halves. If you've got enough good coaches and you've got enough good halves, you've got enough good teams and players.
No, well said, Matty. We're going to roll, go the Blues tomorrow night, hey?
Right, again, better go check on Woodsy, boys.
Okay,
Yes.
we better do.
Yes.
By the way, our Isaiya Katoa, the rising star, thanks to Strutties. We'll catch up with Matty on Thursday to mop up State of Origin.
Do we have to go?
Brian.
Because I've got to, Matty, there's this new thing about onion juice. You put it on your hair and it makes your hair
Tourist head's falling
thicker.
off.
I'm telling you, Matthew, it's a future.
See you, Matty.
Onion juice on your head.
Here we go, boys.
Hey, Tootsie, were you ever in the Origin radius? Did you ever go into camp as like an 18th man or anything like that?
I did, yeah. It was 2000. It was the year we broke the drought, 2014, I think.
Yeah.
I think it was the third game. I went in there as 8. I think it was 18. I got a jersey. It's hanging up at home at Dad's house. Number 19 or 18 or something, 18th man or something. Got in there with Loz was the coach in there for the week, and filled around in a few positions, sort of training and that. And I think we got beaten by about 40 or 50 in game 3. But the series, I'm at Suncorp, but the series was already one and done. So yeah, that was about as close as I got, I think.
Did you get your matchies? Do you remember?
No, I did not get a matchy. No.
Because the 18th gets a matchy.
Yeah, I don't know. I might have been 19 then.
13 large. 30 large.
So, Tootsie, just on that, right?
I got about a $400 allowance. I had to borrow Jarrod Haynes' boots for about a week because I was away on holidays when they rang me.
Oh.
Where did that 400 go on, by the way?
Oh, straight down the drain somewhere, I'd imagine.
Yeah, not Menangle.
No.
Not Menangle. Hey,
No.
Tootsie.
Yeah, probably did, actually. That's where it's gone.
So you played in that scenario where you win first 2 games, and I just don't think I think once you've won the first 2, give them the shield, get the photo, get it all done then. What do you reckon?
It's hard. I mean, it's hard. As a player, you want to just keep playing. You want to play all 3, I suppose, and do the whitewash and that. But I've never been a part of it, obviously. I'm assuming it's not you still get up for an Origin game, but it's still in the back of your mind that you've already won the series. I'd still like to see it at 3. I'd rather see it at 3 as well. But I know what you mean. It's sort of, it is a dead rubber essentially. But
it's just a flat photo if they're getting the shield after a loss, isn't it?
But once you get in the, I don't know, Fletcher, we would have been in a situation at some point. You get in there and have 3 or 4 beers and you're a hero again anyway. And
Correct.
The party's back on. Like we went up to the girls' game a couple of weeks ago and watched Yasmin Clydesdale play in the women's, and they were in the same situation, won the first 2 and then got beaten in the third, and it was a little bit damp and sorrow on that. And then we went for a beer afterwards, and by then they were flying. Like they'd realised that they'd won the series anyway. And, so
Tootsie,
I still think it's good to celebrate it.
Tootsie Sugar's got an idea. Tell
it's a
Tootsie
cracker.
now about
It's
the gold.
a cracker.
It's the gold game.
Yeah, it's so what we do after the second one, Toots, is so if New South Wales win tomorrow night, we get the photo, we get them with the shield. You've won the series, you beauty. But then you're chasing the illustrious cohort.
Gold.
It's the same shield, but it's emblazoned in gold.
Oh, the S.
Right, so then if you've got a photo at home with the gold shield, then you know you've done the very, very rare three-peat. Thoughts, Tootsie? So there's your second photo.
I like that. I love that. That's great. That's a good idea. I do like that. That's it's like a triple crown, all those sorts of things where you get them like it's something like that. Crown. Yeah, I do like that.
And when did the Queensland were the last to do it, wasn't
I like that. Call it the triple crown.
Okay, no, I'm warming to it only because I thought it was ranked when you came up with it, but now Tootsie's agreed with it. I'm going along with Toots.
The Trots have Stewarts and the Raiders have Stewarts, and it is plural now because Ricky Stewart is going to have the opportunity to coach his young fellow in an NRL game. Very special moment for the family. Jed Stewart, welcome to first grade. How's that all build up been, Toots?
Yeah, look, it's been really good. It's only obviously Tuesday, and we had a day off today. We had a session yesterday morning and had a debutante lunch for Jetty. And Stick was obviously, Stick didn't want to. Stick sat down and watched it all because he would have had the blow up pool underneath him with all the tears coming out. So he sat there and watched. Jed's mum, or Stick's wife, sorry, Jed's mum, Kaylee, his brother Jacko, and his grandparents as well. Sticky's mum and dad were there as well, and they got up and spoke really well and presented Jetty his jersey. And look, the good thing is it's a short week, so we play Friday night. It's pretty much tomorrow arvo, then captain's run, then you're away on the bus. So I'm sure he's looking forward to it. The big fella, he's that sort of kid that if you put him into first grade, you know that he only has to do. If he knows he only has to do his job and not worry about anyone else, as you should do in first grade, then everything will be fine. So look, he's a big, strong kid. I don't know where he gets his height from because Stick's 5'2" and Jed's about 6'3". So few questions there as well. But look, Stick said a lot of jokes about them over the time. I won't repeat them on radio, but Stick's got his own opinions of that as well. But look, it's going to be exciting. He's a good young kid. He really deserves his shot, and I'm sure he won't let anyone down on the weekend.
Brian, if there were any question marks, one thing will prove it, won't it?
Yeah, the crow peck. Has he got a crow peck in him? As he's just going up as third man in the defensive line, and as soon as he gets on the ground, Stick used to just hover around, he's on the ground, then walk past and would crow peck you on the top of the head, and then you get back in the line. It's one of the great tricks. What is young Stuart what player sort of reminds you of?
Jetty. Well, if you look at his build, I mean, it's easy to say now because he scored 18 tries on the weekend. Bostock. He's just got that tall, lean build. He's very good under the high ball. He played Australian sevens for rugby union, so I think he got utilised in the line-outs there where you throw the big tall fella up and that. So he's got a very strong carry out of yardage, and he does. He's one of them folks. He's just going to do his job. He's going to get through his work. He's going to work hard. I always talk about him, before all this. He's the sort of bloke that he'd come back, we'd have goal kicking after a session, and he'd be back there kicking the balls back. He just loves his footy. He just loves being involved. And, he's had to work really hard. He's been around for a couple of years and, sort of floated in and out of even reserve grade. And now he just, the last 12, 18 months, he's really just taken off and taken his game to another level. And, look, it's exciting for the big fella.
Imagine he gets to play in a grand final.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah. So you think about this, this is unprecedented times.
Yeah.
So in the last 5 years or so, you've had the Clearys in a grand final.
Yep.
You've had the Arthurs in a grand final.
Yes.
You've had the Walters in a grand final.
Yes.
Could we have the Stewarts in a grand final? Unprecedented times.
Unprecedented.
That'd be nice.
Sticky would definitely cry.
Oh,
definitely cry.
Yes.
I'm going to cry now.
Yeah.
So let's just repeat.
The good news is though, Savvy's actually not out for the whole year, which is good. Tamale's probably 10 weeks, but he might be back hopefully for the back end of the year.
We go back to June 17, 1994. OJ Simpson, the prime suspect in the murder of his former wife, and Ron Goldman. He didn't show up for the arrest on that morning. He left the letter for authorities. He's a close friend, as you hear in that clip, of Al Cowlings, who was driving the Ford Bronco. Huge event on TV, CNN, NBA Finals, all affected by one of the biggest stories of the century. Televised live on an estimated 95 million viewers. Toby Dow.
It's insane.
Insane.
And when you consider at the time, I think MASH at that time was the highest rating show of all time. The final of MASH was 56 million.
Wow.
So that, and you got to remember, that's a preset TV show. So people know it's on. They got to get home to watch the last episode. This was done actually
on the hop.
On the hop, yeah. Wow.
So Tobes, he was to be arrested.
Yeah, they organised with the police.
That's why he bailed.
Yeah, so they'd organise it with the police through his lawyers. We'll come in Friday. They'll do it all.
Yep.
Yeah, anonymously and all that. Everything's sweet. We'll come in, and he obviously got cold feet with Al, his mate. So Robert Kardashian and all them were there. He handed him a letter, and the police showed up at 9 o'clock, and he was gone. Now Robert Kardashian, so obviously the Kardashian fan, Kim Kardashian's old man. He turned around and said, I didn't know where he was. So he'd gone. So he left with Al, and he had he had letters on him as well. Left 3 letters, one for his kids.
A suicide letter or admission of
guilt
there was letter?
No admission of guilt. He denied everything in the letters. He was saying that he didn't, he didn't do anything. Nothing was done. And
so what was the purpose of the letters, Toby?
I think it was more.
He wasn't saying goodbye in it. He wasn't.
Yeah, he wasn't.
Oh, he was.
So he was. He was very. So he says stuff like this. So this is the actual letter. I've had a great life, great friends. Please think of the real OJ and not this lost person. He tried to do most of the right things throughout his life, and he says, why did I end up like this? First, everyone understand I had nothing to do with Nicole's murder. If we had a problem, it was because I loved her so much. I don't want to belabor knocking the press, but I can't believe that what is being said, most of it is totally made up. I know they have a job to do, but at least please leave my children in peace. So he left one for his kids. He left one for the media, and he left one for Robert Kardashian to read. So he was just adamant. Like, there's a lot of different theories as to why he went, but getting to the actual chase though, like when he took off, like they were on the highway for a bit. Like you got that famous photo of the Bronco, and behind it there's all those police cars, and the freeway's just empty. And it was just like it was like the LA Lakers had won the NBA Finals. If you remember, like there was people on the overpasses, cheering for him.
Yep.
Everyone like just signs hanging over.
Why did they keep driving? Like, was it just buying time, or
no?
Because it wasn't at a rapid speed, and he wasn't ever going to get away from them.
Yeah, look, my theory on it with him, because there's a lot of different things out there with it, and I just think I only got, because I have my theory on it, right? I'm going to tell a story soon to everyone on here that no one would know about in this country, and it's actual true story with the crime. And so what happened was, I just think, like, when you believe you're innocent on something, but you can see everything that's happening around you and you think they're setting you up. I reckon he just in the end, I'm not going to hang around for this. I'm getting out of here. And so he...
But didn't he have a gun? Was he threatening?
He had a gun, yeah.
But was he threatening to shoot himself? Is that why?
He did. Al said that. Al Cowling's actually said that. Like, we've got an audio of Al Cowling. Al Cowling actually rings the police, so they've got the audio here.
911, what are you reporting? This is AC. I have OJ in the car. Okay, where are you? Please, I'm coming up the 5 freeway. Okay. Right now, we're okay, but you gotta tell the police to just back off. He's still alive, that he got a gun to his head. Okay, hold on a minute. Monica? He just want to see his mother. Let me get him to the house. Okay, hold on a moment. Okay, where are you? Is everything else okay? Everything right now is okay, officer. Everything is okay. All about he wants me to get him to his mom. He wants me to get him to his house. Okay. So that's all we ask. He got a gun to his head. Okay, and what's your name? My name is AC. You know who I am, goddammit. Okay. All righty, sir. Hold on just a moment.
Hi, what's your name? Hello?
Go ahead, Stuart, and his mother's home and drive safely, and he'll be followed there.
Hello?
Okay, so there you go. That was the Al Cowlings calling direct from the car, like live to the police. Now, this was broadcast.
With OJ sat next to him.
No, he wasn't sitting. He was laying down in the back.
Right.
So I think there was a phone call actually put through to the police by a lady in a car next to her. I actually tried to find the audio for it. It was hard to find, and she actually rang. She goes, I can see OJ in a car on the freeway, so he got given up. Within 5 minutes, there was helicopters dispatched. There was police everywhere. And to understand for the people that weren't around at that time, some of the younger guys listening, how big it was. It's like the NRL or AFL Grand Final being played here, and they cut to this to watch it instead of playing the football.
Or Origin.
That's it. Origin, yeah. Because at the end, like we're sitting here, the NBA's in front of us right now on the TV. Yeah. They cut off the NBA and went to it.
Wow. And as you said, just repeating, and this is the kind of stat that people repeat in the pub, the final episode of MASH had how many?
I think it was 56 million.
56 million, and this chase had 95
to 100 million, yeah.
Wow.
Estimate. And that was just off the cuff. And this only went for 45 minutes. That's how big... Sorry.
No, so once they got him, right, so then he handed himself in.
Yeah, he went back home.
And did he go into jail? Was he out on bail?
Straight away. No.
So in jail. And then how long before jail before the trial?
I think
was it
was...
like a year? Or?
Yeah, it was... So the trial went for 9 months. It was around February. So this would have been about 6 months before it went to trial.
Wow. Okay. Well, there's a text come through. Tell this bloke he's on the pipe if he thinks OJ's is innocent. We're going to
hang on. Yeah, that's right. We're going to get a story.
We're going to get him.
100%.
So let's go back in time.
Yep.
Is it all about the glove? Was that the clincher? Because as we know now...
No, that's the thing that started it.
What? People saying... No, I mean when they said try it on.
Oh, the downfall.
Yeah, is that who was sort of?
No, was
he looking guilty up until then? When
100%.
So if the prosecution didn't get this glove and put that in, do you feel that OJ would have been found guilty?
No. If they didn't have the glove, he wouldn't have even gone to trial.
Okay.
So there's a lot of aspects to the thing. When people write this, like we just saw the guy on the pipe, which fair enough. But it's people that don't know the trial.
Yes.
Like, I don't watch documentaries. I've watched the trial 1,000 times.
Yeah.
Right. And I know the ins and outs of the whole thing, and when you understand that, they manipulated and fabricated evidence, and it got proven.
Which that policeman, which is
That's
who?
right, Mark Furman.
who had been told he was a racist.
Yeah, they knew he was a racist.
And
That's
he
right.
also fabricated. What evidence did he fabricate?
So not just him. So the blood evidence, when they took 8 millilitres of blood out of OJ, right? When they handed it back in, the detective in the police force went to the 2 crime scenes with the 2 vials of blood, okay, with them on. So there's 8 millilitres recorded. They all testified there was 8 millilitres at the pre-hearing, the grand jury hearing.
Why did they take that off to match?
So he was happy to give the blood out to, if there was any blood at the scene that it could
match it.
Right, that's right. So he did it all willingly. There was no thing from OJ, sorry. So then when Phil Van Atta was the detective, he then walked around, instead of handing it into evidence straight away, he was at the police station, he took the 2 vials and walked around the crime scenes for 8 hours with them, right? Then he handed them back in. There was 1.5 millilitres missing.
Okay.
Now, the prosecution knew this. And the thing was, they'd all testified there was 8 millilitres.
Hang on, question. When was there any of OJ's blood found?
Yes.
Okay. Was it a huge amount?
No.
So could it have been part of that 1.5
Easily.
mil?
Yeah. So the thing with it, so when you put your blood into the vials, there's a anticoagulant in the vials called EDTA, right? All of OJ's blood had EDTA in it. And that people go, but you have EDTA in your blood as it is. Yeah, 100% you do. But the levels and the size of the EDTA was in it was far more. So, and then you got other things like...
What does that mean, though?
So what he's saying is that when he took the 8 mil, as part of that, it is coagulated with this EDTA.
Yeah. So it doesn't go hard.
So the blood that was found on site had an extremely high amount of the same stuff. Right. So therefore, it is highly suspicious that
was used from the vial.
Yes,
that's right. Okay. And there's already 1.5 millilitres missing.
Yep.
Now there was photos, and as I said, people go watch the trial. I don't care. There's on there, Dennis Fung, the criminologist for the prosecution, took a swab of blood on the back gate on July the 18th. So like 5 weeks later, right? But when he collected the first initial, all the evidence was on June the 13th, the day after the murders, right? The morning after. So what happened then? The blood on the back gate wasn't there in all the photos when he went back from June the 13th. But when he went back on July, it was there, and they brought it up in the trial. They're going, well, how come hang on a minute, the blood wasn't there. You've gone back 5 weeks later. Now the blood spot's there because they got the photos.
Yes.
It's all in the trial. And so all this type of stuff comes out that people don't know about. Right? You
was that the play of the day? What was the play of the day to get him off?
There's a lot of that. Yeah, there's Furman wouldn't. So Furman, who said he found the glove, Mark Furman, they just called him out as a racist, and which he was. And so what happened was they knew they had him. He got charged with perjury after the trial. So they knew they had him caught out lying on the stand. And so when he went back in to answer the questions finally, like they said to him before he got off the stand on day 2 or whatever, they said, have you ever manipulated or fabricated, have you ever called anyone an African-American, the N-word? And he said, no, I've never done it. They had a lineup of people to say he was a racist.
Oh, sorry, they had Mark Furman for perjury.
Yeah. Yes. So, and this is the head detective from the thing. So, if your head detective
gets
caught lying...
That doesn't mean that OJ didn't do it.
But then he went back on the stand.
Yeah.
And they said to him, did you fabricate, manipulate, or lie on the stand about any evidence? He goes, I'm going to plead the fifth. I'm not talking anymore. He refused to answer any more questions. Now, if you go to a trial and you're up for murder, and the head witness for the prosecution refuses to answer any more questions because he's already been found out for perjury, it's game over.
Right. We'll say that was the majority. That was the jury looked at that and went, well, he's obviously.
Not only that, like they used 3 coroners for the trial, which is ridiculous. You've never seen that before in your life. So the first 2 coroners turned around and said there's 2 to 3 different sized knife wounds in Ron Goldman and Nicole.
Yeah. And
so they found a coroner eventually that said, well, maybe the knife didn't go in this far. So all their narrative just kept, even their own criminologist turned around and said, no, this wasn't one person. Now, I'm not saying it wasn't OJ, but they're saying it wasn't one person.
All right, Tobes, we're going to lighten things up with a bit of a Seinfeld reference. But after that, I want you to have your final say, your final suspicions and views on the OJ case. Now, the chase, of course, low-speed chase. It was down the 405. He eventually surrendered in his mansion at Brentwood. So Seinfeld made fun of the chase in the Big Salad episode, written by Larry David. The episode was written just a few weeks after Simpson's real-world Ford Bronco chase aired, and this aired September 29, Season 6, Episode 2. Here it is.
Hello? What? You're kidding. I'm turning it on. Oh, my God, get out of here. Hey, listen to this. They issued a warrant for Henderson's arrest. He escaped, and the police have just spotted him on the New Jersey Turnpike.
As you can see, in a white Ford Bronco, the police have cleared the highway traffic in front of them, but they are keeping their distance. They don't want this situation to escalate. And we have gotten an identification on the driver of the vehicle. His name is Kramer. Innocent golfing.
911. What are you reporting?
Yeah, this is Kramer. I got Gendison in the car. Now he wants to see his fish. I'm taking him to see his fish. So tell the police to back off.
Okay, sir. And what's your name?
My name is Kramer. You know I am, damn it.
Nice work, Brooksy. Now,
Nice work, Larry
get
David.
back to this, Tobes. I want to know because, look, there's a lot of... I haven't watched any of these documentaries. I think I watched one.
Yeah, you watched one.
And it was pretty damning when they were talking about OJ, the flight, the guy that saw him put something in a bin.
Okay, impossible.
The bag, all that sort of...
Impossible. It's the airport. What's at the airport that's everywhere?
Yeah.
Cameras. Or as soon as you get out of your car, there's cameras everywhere, right?
What about the lady on the dog? When the lady at the dog saw OJ scream through the red light.
Okay, she says that, but there's not one other person that saw the white Bronco that night that come
Fair
forward.
enough, okay.
Tick.
Right.
That's 2 for 2.
Okay, so here we go. I know everyone's saying I'm on drugs. That's great. So here we go. That night, so this is all true. So you can look it up, the police report, there's witness reports, the evidence, and the prosecution had to hand over all this guy's evidence to the defence. And this is why the prosecution would have called him. There's a gentleman called Tom Lang that night walking his dog. 10 o'clock, he lived on Bundy, the same street as Nicole. He got down to the corner and he saw a blonde lady, he didn't know it was Nicole at the time, arguing with these two Hispanic men in a big white 350 Ford, because it had the double back wheels, that's how he knew. And standing behind her at the entrance to her condominiums was another big man, a huge guy, bent over like in a real angry mood. But he said at the time he didn't know if that guy was with her though, like just backing her up, but she was in a heated argument. He said it was really heated and he didn't want to stand around because he was worried. So he then called out to his dog, which had ran down, and his dog, they all looked over to him. So he grabbed the dog and he went home. And he was telling his wife about it, how heavy it was, just the scene. She said, "Well, you better write it down in case this lady was in trouble." So he wrote everything down. Now this guy was an older man, Tom Lang. He was an older gentleman, and he was an architect or a engineer or something. So he was established in the community. The next morning he wakes up, obviously, to what had happened. So he goes to the police and gives his report, his evidence, that he saw Nicole at 10 o'clock, just before she was murdered. Now, the prosecution refused to call him as a witness.
Wow.
Because it changes the whole narrative of their story, the whole thing. The defence wanted to, and you can listen to a guy called Pat McKenna. He was the defence private investigator. And I've talked to him before personally because I've tried to get an interview with him. And he's said to me, he goes, "Mate, this guy saw the whole thing. His police report, you can look it up on Google, you can search it all up." And so they just refused to call him because the narrative to them was just it was one person. But now there's a whole group of people. And living with Nicole at the time was a lady called Faye Resnick. She's now on the Housewives show. She put herself into, 48 hours before this all happened, she put herself into the most high-powered security rehab centre there is in America. So you can't get any access to them. And then 48 hours, her best friend's been murdered.
Wow. Hey, Tobes, we've got to mop it up. We're off air in about a minute.
But OJ could have organised that.
I'm not saying he didn't.
No, but you're saying...
No, but the thing was, when he got... they rang him about it, like that she'd been murdered, his first words were like, "How'd they kill her?" Like that was his response. It was like he knew something was going to happen to her.
Okay.
Toby Dow, well done. True Crime Tuesday. Brian, thank you very much.
Yes.
Sammy and Brooksy.
Thanks for watching. For more great content, subscribe to SEN League, your home of the greatest game of all.